Hi, this is not the Max and Beth show today. This is only me, so it's no show at all. Unfortunately, my colleague is feeling under the weather today, but we hope she'll be back with us shortly. And the good news is we could just skip the banter and dive right in. Today, I just wanted to share a brief thought about standing posture and how that can relate to basically chronic injuries and chronic pain in either the lower back or the knees. Those seem like separate things, but in fact, I will hope to show in this video how they might be just one thing. Basically, there's you can imagine there's 1,000 different ways that a person could orient himself, standing up in this posture. But generally speaking, we can simplify it into kind of identify three different elements here, and then question how they relate to one another. The first thing to think about is basically where your base of support is. This, again, these are familiar ideas, I think, from prior videos, so I hope this will be largely recapitulation from those last videos. So the first idea would be, where are your feet, right? That's your base of support in standing. The second question is, where's your center of gravity? And that's going to be roughly, just above the pelvis, somewhere in this area. And you can, ideally, I will say these, if I say these things, they're only words until you can correlate them with some internal experience. And so what I hope is that, through these videos and then over time through practice, these terms will increasingly have a more experiential referent. And so the idea is, again, where is that center of gravity? Not only being able to say that word, to use that word in a sentence, but actually to sense what that feels in an embodied way. And then the third thing is, I guess, you could just think of the idea of whatever is balancing on top of the center of gravity. And so, anatomically, you could think in general terms of like feet and lower legs, pelvis, and heart, chest, shoulders, and so on. And so we're just going to kind of schematically simplify the standing posture to those three elements. And now the question is, what is the relationship with those elements? Building on from some of the earlier videos, ideally the relationship is one of verticality. Basically, it's one in which the structure is organized around the central axis of the line. So that's what we're seeking actually in standing posture. The reason I have decided to make this video, in spite of my colleague's absence today, is just to introduce this idea about playing with how we organize. Specifically, it's how we organize the center of gravity above the base of support. And then ideally, whatever's balanced on top of that center of gravity will compensate in a certain way. So you can see I'm doing this gesture. This is not a gesture of pelvic tilt so much as pelvic shift. So it's moving front and back in space, not tipping over an axis in static space. Then to bring this back to what I had suggested at the beginning of the video, it's such a common, it's regrettably a common symptom to hear people with either chronic knee pain, knee weakness, or lower back pain, lower back weakness. And it's not at all uncommon, actually, that those symptoms, in a certain way, belie the cause that they're stemming from. And that might sound crazy. You might think, well, if my back hurts, the cause must be my lower back. If my lower back hurts, the cause must be my lower back. Or if my knee hurts, the cause must be my knee. But that's not always right. And in fact, the more we think through it, the more it stands to reason that often the symptom is often something downstream from the cause. In other words, not the same thing as the cause. In this case, I'd like to suggest that a certain orientation of the pelvis relative to the center of gravity actually places chronic strain on the lower back and the knees themselves. I'll try to show, just demonstrate how that might come about. But then, once again, I just encourage anyone who's watching this video to really try to experience this yourself and try to feel this in your body. So the idea, once again, pelvis on top of the feet. Now, something that can be very helpful is to actually kind of exaggerate these postures to get a feeling for what's really going on. Otherwise, they can be so, the effects and the experiences can be so subtle that they go unnoticed. And so one thing I'll just say I find, I would say virtually 9 out of 10 clients actually tend to have this anterior shifted pelvis. It can be very subtle, something like this, and you don't think about it, but you can notice it. And this is something of an exercise, or a recommended exercise to do. if you place your hands on your quadriceps here, these leg muscles in the front of the thigh, the quadriceps extend down from the hip all the way down and across the knee. This is where the idea of the knee pain comes in. If anyone just does this with me, incrementally, just kind of inch the pelvis forward in that shift, that anterior shift. And you'll immediately notice the way that your quadriceps, and the only reason you don't topple over, because now your center of gravity is significantly displaced from your base of support. The reason you don't topple over is because of the muscles in your legs, the quadricep muscles. And that's fine, you can get away with it. You can get away with it for a certain period of time. But the idea is like, this is a little thing, this kind of tension. You can feel it's present, but it's not a big thing. The idea is like, big things start out as little things. And so this tension is a very small amount. You could feel it, it's tangible in the thighs. It's a small amount, but it's iterated over time, over years, decades even. And then after a certain number of iterations, you have just accumulated this chronic strain basically on your knees specifically. Why on your knees? Well, it's because the same muscle crosses the knee joint, and that's actually, in fact, its primary action is to extend the knee. So it compresses the knee joint for the sake of straightening the leg. So imagine this is the knee bent, and then this is the knee straightened. There's a quadricep that goes on top of here. If it's chronically tight, just for the sake of holding you up, keeping you from because if you didn't have any muscles, and you did this with just like loose bones, they would just topple over. But we have the quadriceps to stop us. The idea though is you would want to use the quadriceps for something more productive than just trying to compensate for some super imbalanced standing posture. So the idea is basically once you've found that tension here, then incrementally reverse the first exercise and inch the pelvis backward. People will have to go often much further than they expect before the quadriceps can finally relax. And there will be a palpable experience of release, either under your hands in the hips or in the knees. Some people feel it in one place, other people feel it in another place. And so I really recommend that everyone try that exercise. Now, to just round out this video and connect it to the first, one of the first points I made about lower back and knee being the same thing. Well, the reason this is the same thing is because when you have if you return to this position, exaggerated, the forward shifted pelvis, you immediately feel the way your lower back is compressed. You can probably see it in the video too. And just picture what all those vertebrae in the back are having to do in order to get you like this. So once again, you can get away with it for a certain period of time, but but why? For what purpose? And so once again, I hope that this video will be helpful for anyone who's been watching it. I hope it will just continue this crusade that we're apparently on, Beth and me together, of kind of putting ourselves out of business by providing all this material that basically renders rolfers increasingly obsolete. So thank you for your time. I hope that was helpful, and we hope to be back hopefully no later than next Sunday with another episode of the notorious Max and Beth show.